What's going on, Sanctuary? I'm Pool Noodle, and if you don't know who I am already, that's totally fine. Maybe we can be friends after this video. Today I'm bringing you another Diablo 2 Resurrected build, and this one is the highly requested Hydra Frozen Orb Sorceress. I'm super excited to present this one because it's the one Sorc build from beta that caught my attention with the changes to Hydra. I'll dig into that stuff in the playstyle section, so without any more of a delay, let's get to the action. For the gear on Icy Hot, I will have this broken down into two parts, being early and mid to late sets, as well as a handful of late game swappables. For the early set, I have the traditional Spirit Sword, gloves with Magic Find on them, rings that could have FCR on them, and a 4-slot belt, boots with Magic Find, run speed, or resistance, a Rhyme Shield for the early MF unless you get lucky enough to get a Monarch for the Spirit early on, Stealth Armor Rune Word, a Simulated Skill Ammi with Eye, and then a Lore Helm. This set is more than enough to get this character farming some spots in hell right away. For the late set, I'm using the Oculus for pretty much everything that it has on it, Chance Guards when I want more MF, or Mage Fist when I'm farming keys, 2 skill rings of your choice, 3-piece Tal set with the belt, chest, and Ammi because you get about 165 Magic Find as well as a shitload of resistances from it, War Travs only for the high Magic Find, a Spirit Shield because it's just OP, and then the green garbage bag on my head is Shaco. Some of the swappables include a Heart of the Oak for the weapon if you want that huge FCR and resists in addition to the skills, or a Shootaz and the new Flickering Flame if you want more raw fire damage. One thing I would recommend for this build is to shop for a lower resist one if you find yourself facing double immunes with cold and fire res. I did not use anything on swap, and I only used 4 fire skillers for this. Everything can be pushed a little further with sockets and more charms, and you can use whatever the hell you want to use. This is just what I'm using to showcase this incredibly versatile build. For the skills that Chillz and Grillz, there are a few ways to do this. I put 20 into Frozen Orb and only 1 point into Cold Mastery, and the reason is that this is plenty strong enough by itself to clear non-cold immune zones or kill any fire immunes that your Hydras can't. After that, I of course made sure I had 1 point into Teleport and Static and moved on to the Fire Tree. Here I have 20 into Hydra, Fire Mastery, and Fireball, and then the remaining points will likely go into Firebolt. If your fire damage ends up being high enough to where you don't need the extra synergy, then you can definitely go back to putting them into Ice Bolt to boost Frozen Orb. For the Stattatats on this one, we have just enough strength to wear that Monarch, and then the rest go into Vitality unless you want to experiment with the new Energy Shield. For the Merc, there's a few options here for the early game. You can run a tanky Act 2 Holy Freeze with Insight, and this is what most traditional Sorcs use, but you can also get away with an Act 1 Cold Merc with an Insight Bow. Since they now shoot a freezing arrow, they actually offer a lot more crowd control than most people realize, making this a safe bet for many of the builds that are out there. Both of these options are of course overshadowed in the late game by an Act 2 Desert Boy with an Infinity. The playstyle on this one isn't very difficult. You generally cast as many Hydras as you can until you have to displace yourself, and then spam Frozen Orbs until everything is no longer moving. This build does an incredible job at taking out cold and fire-friendly zones since both elements do a healthy amount of damage. The level 85 zones that I liked the most for this are Stony Tombs and Ancient Tunnels, and you can easily farm the Uber Key from the Summoner in Arcane while you're at it. You can also do Andy and Mephisto with ease if boss farming is more of your style. Objectively, there aren't too many places that this build can't handle since it's dual element, and because it's a sorceress, it's insanely fast at all of it. Although I did put this up on the cow clapometer and it got a somewhat shameful 7 minutes and 34 seconds, but thankfully that's not where this build really shines. In my opinion, this build does much better in places with less density than cows, and since the 85 zones have higher amounts of elite mob packs, that's exactly what I would recommend. Being that it's incredible at handling the level 85 zones and can very quickly take out the Summoner for keys, this one is getting a solid 9 out of 10 from me. Do me a favor and subscribe if you haven't already, and like this video so that more people can see it, because I know there's a huge portion of the community who can benefit from one part of this or the other. I stream all of my leveling, farming, and Uber operations live on Twitch quite a few times a week, so if you're looking for some live interaction and entertainment, make sure you follow from the link in the description down below. There will be a few other helpful links, like one to the Noodle Gang Discord, where a lot of us have been hanging out lately, so don't be a stranger and come on in. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Happy grinding, travelers, and we'll see you next week.